Our 9 Cares Colorado Shares Food Drive is happening right now. We are partnering with King Soopers and food banks around the state to help feed those in need. And we're hoping to raise $750,000 for people battling food insecurity, which can have a number of impacts on our health.
Here to talk about some of those impacts is our 9 Health expert, Dr. Payal Kohli. Thank you so much for coming in.
Oh, good morning, guys.
Appreciate it. So talk about some of the impacts of food insecurity when it comes to nutrition.
Well, you can imagine 1 out of 10 Coloradans have food insecurity or have had it at some point in their life. And even for adults, but especially for kids, the nutritional impacts can be profound. So we're talking about vitamin deficiencies if you don't have regular access to food. We're talking about changes in our weight. And I mean both weight loss, but also weight gain. So we're thinking obesity is actually linked to food insecurity because people end up eating the wrong types of foods. We're talking about hormonal impacts. So you can imagine kids that are growing need the right kind of nutrition to make the right types of hormones. And you can really cause aberrations in that as well as digestive problems and such.
And how can hunger impact our physical health, especially when we're thinking about the little kids out there?
Well, their immune system starts to misbehave when we're not eating properly. We've talked about weight. We've talked about kids and adults who have food insecurity going on to develop heart disease, diabetes, and high blood pressure. And so you're actually putting a target sign on these people, not just in that moment, but actually looking forward for the rest of their life if they're not getting the right types of food. So there's so many impacts on our physical health, our growth, as well as our emotional and behavioral health that it's really important to talk about this.
You bring up such a good point because I look back and I've been open about my story. There was a point in time in my family where we had to go to the food bank and get a box of food. Well, it was government cheese and powdered milk and processed foods. Now that was a while ago and some things have changed, but that's why it's so important to get the right nutrition, especially for these kids.
So important. And we think about most affordable food and these food deserts, and people reach for boxed foods, processed foods, like you said, things with carcinogens and preservatives and things that can impact their health. So it's really important for the rest of the community because you know that people who have food insecurity, it doesn't just impact them, it impacts everybody around them because if they have more hypertension, heart disease, health problems, they're actually driving up healthcare costs. In fact, food insecurity is thought to be one of the biggest drivers of healthcare costs as well because people aren't eating the right types of foods.
Well, let's take it even further though, not just your physical health, but also your mental health. How does that impact this?
Yeah, so we're talking all kinds of mental health problems ranging from anxiety, you can imagine, not being able to know where your food is coming from, depression, feeling sort of socially isolated and depressed, but even problems like eating disorders. So people who have food insecurities are more likely to develop binge eating disorders as well as purging disorders because of the fact that they have this abnormal relationship with food, not knowing where their food is going to come from.
What are some ways that we can fight food insecurity?
It's so important for us to think about doing this because this is impacting our kids, their behavior, their performance in school, their cognitive function. So the first and most important thing I think is to do what we're doing here, which is food drives that can help sort of not just raise awareness, but also provide access, especially over the holidays, to families for food. Second, I think don't waste food because there's such a culture of being wasteful here. We have a lot of food in our fridge and we throw out food. So really being mindful of the fact that overall we need to be conserving food because there are families that don't get food. And then, reaching into your pantry or into your wallet because we know that with the holidays coming, a few dollars here or there can really make the impact for somebody else's family. And again, knowing that you're not just doing it for them, you're doing it for our entire community, for our nation's economics, and just for making sure that everybody has a nice dinner over Thanksgiving and Christmas this year.
Wasted food still hurts my heart still to this day. So this is so important that we're talking about, and it's really important why we're doing this 9 Cares Colorado Shares Drive. So Dr. Kohli, thank you for coming in. Here's all the information for our drive. It's going on through Sunday, December 10th, so still plenty of time. You can scan the QR code to get to our donation page now. You can also donate when you're checking out at a local King Soopers or through our all-day telethon that's coming up this Thursday, November 14th. It's going to be such a big day here at 9 News. The donation page and all this information is also available on our website at 9news.com/9cares.